Hi, welcome to the Yorkshire Academy of American Football podcast. My name's Mike, I'm the chairman at the Academy, and today we're going to be talking to Rob Smith, who's defensive coordinator for the Under-17 Academy Assassins. He also has two sons who play for the, one still plays for the Academy in the Under-17, Sam and Joe, who's now playing university football at Lincoln University. Outside of American football, Rob is a perioperative assistant at the LGI in the neurospinal department. And he's going to talk to us today about football, being an academy parent, and also his very important job on the front line with the NHS, which is extremely relevant at this moment in time. So let's have a chat with Rob. Hi, Rob.
Hi, Mike. How you doing?
I'm grand. How are you, more to the point?
Oh, I'm not too bad. I've got I'm on a couple of days off at the minute, so just powering down before I have to go back to it next week.
So people won't know what we're talking about. You're a perioperative assistant at the Leeds General Infirmary. Can you tell us a little bit about that role and what you do in that on a day-to-day basis?
I've been doing it for the past 10 years, and I'm basically part of a theatre team that look after you when you come into theatre for your operation, supporting surgeons and anaesthetists, and just making sure that you're looked after while you're under a general anaesthetic, and we're operating on you. I used to work for trauma and orthopedics, which is basically anything bone related, and just recently moved to neurospines. So quite a different speciality, but enjoying it.
Nice one. And could you tell us a little bit, and it's extremely relevant obviously at the moment, Rob, can you tell us a little bit about how you and in a wider sense, how your hospital and your trust is coping in the current coronavirus crisis?
Yeah, obviously it's a bit bonkers at the minute. But I think as a team, and as a kind of a hospital and as a trust, we seem to be doing pretty well considering. We're obviously expecting and planning for worst case scenario, and at the moment, it's frenetic, and there's lots of challenges, but I don't think it's got as bad as we thought so far. But I think that's down to the majority of people doing what the government and the World Health Organization are telling them to do, which is, social distancing and stay at home. Within theatres, obviously, our roles have changed a little bit because they've changed all the theatres to intensive care units to be able to look after all these patients. So we're not doing huge amounts of operating, certainly not as much as we would have done normally. But we're obviously still looking after some pretty poorly patients. So it's challenging, but the team I work for is a really good team, and we've got each other's backs, as have the rest of the trust by the looks of it. We're all touched by everybody giving us an applaud on Thursday evenings, and we're just working through it. It's just it's our job and it's what we signed up for. So we're just trying to make the best out of it what we can.
Well, you've been extremely modest there, Rob. We appreciate everything that everyone in the NHS is doing. And my wife used to work for a long time in the NHS, a team of specialist midwives. And when you see firsthand when she's coming home and the amounts of pressure that you guys are under, I just hope that everybody can appreciate what you're going through. And we really appreciate everything, especially at the moment, but all the time. So thanks for talking to us about that. If we move on to the football now, you're the defensive coordinator for the Under-17 Assassins. How did that come about?
Sorry?
How did that come about?
probably joined the academy not long after it started, maybe 12 months. My eldest son, who's now 18, was never really that sporty, but really enjoyed American football. I've been into American football since I was a kid, back in the 80s, watching it on Channel 4. And I'd always watched it, and it was the only sport he really liked. Anyway, we kind of discovered the academy almost by accident, and he started coming along and training and practicing when it was all flag football. And I could very quickly see the type of setup that you and Dale had started, and it was a bit different from a lot of other clubs. Certainly, football, as in soccer clubs that I'd been involved with, and just the ethos of it. And I'd not done any coaching for a while, and just sort of said to Dale, look, if you need an extra pair of hands or somebody to help on a Saturday morning, then I'm more than happy to do it. I'm bringing Joe along anyway, so it kind of went from there. And as the academy's grown, I guess I've kind of taken on, more as we've grown as an academy, which is really good. So, I remember it when it was maybe half a dozen to a dozen kids coming down and playing a bit of flag on a Saturday morning, and that was about it.
Yeah, it's come on quite a bit, hasn't it, Rob? I was wondering when I was putting together the questions for this, how you research, how you do your research to find out more about defensive football, because I think it's fair to say that you hadn't coached American football before, so you come into it completely brand new. So from somebody who'd never done it before, how did you research defensive football, and who were the role models that you looked to in the sport?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because obviously you come at it as initially as a fan, and the jump between fan and actually having responsibility for coaching kids, and more recently sort of young adults and adults, it's a massive difference. The intricacies of the game, it's hugely different. And I think in the short term, it was obviously using the internet, tapping into resources that were there in terms of people like you and Dave Rowlands more recently, after I've been involved with Carnegie, with CAF, trying to get my hands on books, and you kind of gather all this information, and then you kind of try and sort it out in your own head, and you kind of develop your own style from there. But anybody getting into it is it really is an eye-opener, because it's not just what you watch on a Sunday on Sky or ESPN if you watch the college football. There's so much more to it, and I've sort of moved from 5-a-side football through to sort of 7-9-a-side football now to 11-a-side with the university, and the jumps in the learning curve has been really, really steep. And I've been doing it for 5 years, and I think I've only scratched the surface really. But hopefully we've been doing a really good job with the under-17s. We've been to Brit Bowl multiple times since we started the team up, and they keep asking me to keep doing it, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's always yeah. If we keep asking you to come back, yeah. I just keep turning up all the time. Somebody's told me to leave, so I'm going to keep turning up until they tell me to leave.
Until they tell you not.
Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned already about Sam and Joe, your two sons. So I think this is probably going to take up the bulk of the chat, really. I spoke to Christian Olcorn the other day, and was talking to him about his kids and how siblings are completely different. So you touched on there with let's start with Joe. When Joe first came into the academy, tell us a bit about his journey through, and hopefully we'll get the chance to speak to Joe at a later date as well. But tell us a bit about his journey from your perspective.
Well, as I said before, Joe really hadn't shown that much interest in sport, but he really liked watching the American football. He kind of picked his team quite early on. Unfortunately, I had no influence in that, and he went down the Patriots route. But I won't hold that against him. But he just really enjoyed being involved in a team. It wasn't a win at all cost mentality, even just in the practices. So I don't think he felt an awful lot of pressure to begin with. He just enjoyed it. So it was more for the love of the game and being involved in something like this, rather than you must win, and if you don't win then you're a failure. And he sort of progressed from flag through up into tackle, football, 5v5, and did pretty well with that. And he's unfortunately, this would have been his last year with the academy as a player. And obviously we don't know what's going to go on in terms of the league season, but at the minute it doesn't look very promising. And he's gone on to university at Lincoln, and he's playing for Lincoln University, and doing pretty well as a freshman, as a rookie coming in. Joe's a bit like me. He's sort of a defensive minded type of player. He likes hitting people. He's got the physique for it now. He's been working really hard on that. And yeah, he's developing into a pretty good linebacker. I fully expect when he comes back from university, if his knees that he's inherited from me stand up to it, he'll probably want to go and play with the Rams at some point. But yeah, Joe's very much on the defensive side of things. Sam went completely the other way, and showed a bit of a flair for throwing the ball. So he started playing QB, and he really loves it as well, because he's seen his big brother come through the academy. He's seen the kind of mentality that the academy have, which is not to win at all cost. And I think when you take that pressure off, kids tend to perform better, and you see that in the results that we've had as an academy. You see that it isn't win at all cost, and we do try and develop young players. And a byproduct of that is actually we win games, or we win quite a lot of games, and we've been pretty successful, and long may that continue.
I've noticed that the pair of them are quite different in a number of ways, but the one thread that seems to run through with them is their desire to compete, their inner desire to compete, and they're very self-critical, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that comes from having a dad as a coach. I remember when I was playing football as a kid, my dad was a coach for me for a while, and it's almost like you're starting 2 or 3 squares behind everybody else, because you have to prove that you're not just playing because you're the coach's son. With Joe, I think that was a bit harder for Joe, because I was obviously looking after the defense and he was playing on defense. Bit easier for Sam because he plays QB, and if I have anything to do with the offense, it tends to go very pear-shaped. So Will kind of shepherds me away from that. But yeah, I think they've got a desire to prove that they can do it off their own bat, type of thing, and not just because I'm a coach and I've been involved in the academy for sort of 5 years. So. And
finally, tell us a little bit. This would be something that my wife will want to hear about. It's nice to share the experiences of our other halves, whether it's it doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman, but there's another half usually as a football widow behind the scenes. So tell us a little bit about Kath, and from your perspective, obviously, I know it's a mansplain to us about how Kath copes with
She does really well, actually. I'm quite lucky that she really loves the sport as well. She's grown to love it. She's proud to be an Assassin's mum. she had to pick a team. She had to pick an NFL team. Without realising it, she picked the Green Bay Packers. I'm a Detroit Lions fan, so she couldn't have picked a worse team, really. Well, I guess she could have picked the Bears, but, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, she loves it. She loves watching it. She understands it, you know, reasonably well, which I think helps. She loves the running game. She gets very excited about, you know, long runs and running backs breaking tackles and stuff. But in terms of, I guess, Kath's sort of the glue that holds us all together. So when we have to get up at an ungodly hour on Saturday morning to get to practice for time, you know, Kath's the one that gets up. She's the one that does a scrambled eggs every Saturday morning. Make sure we're all fed and watered, and we've got all of our kit, and we've got our gum shields and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, I don't think if she wasn't as into it as she is, we wouldn't be as successful as we are with it, really. She helps get us out of the door on a Saturday morning, and she kind of helps us tidy up the mess after we get back from practice at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like all football mums, she can't stand the black rubber bits that end up everywhere all over a nice clean house. But other than that, I think that, you know, that's about as bad as it gets, really. So yeah, she helps in tons of ways. Yeah, she helps in tons of ways, and she loves going to the games as well.
Well, maybe we could get her in the lobby to get a 4G pitch, and then we can negate the rubber crumb everywhere.
I think she'd miss it too much.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that the places that stuff ends up. It's amazing.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, you know, we obviously we haven't practiced or played for a number of months now, and we're still finding it in the house.
Yeah.
So she's like, bloody hell, how, you know, where's this come from? You haven't been practiced. You haven't been to the university for 2 months. Where, you know, but you know, Sam won't mind me saying he's not particularly great at clearing his bag out. So every time he moves his bag, there's this cascade of rubber crumb that falls out of it. So
Miles is very similar. Miles tends to leave it to everybody else to empty his bag out and clean everything, and I think that's a common thread.
Yeah, I think so. Teenage boys.
Yeah. Well, listen, Rob, thank you very much. Thanks for speaking to us about your experiences at work, with the academy, and and at home. And you take care. We really do thank you for everything that you do for us, and we'll see you on the other side of the lockdown.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mike. Pleasure to talk to you. Cheers.
Well.